I need to.
Where's it going to?
It's wet. Yeah, no. Hamad, nobody's here. My interview has started. No.
Is he not inside?
Call him,
I
please.
think he's inside. The
Yeah.
videographer guy. I think he's inside.
Joshua. Yeah, are you guys? Hi, Choma. Are you checked in? Hmm. It's been incredible, honestly. It was almost like I was in a box, and then I came out to so many amazing things, so much good news, so much congratulations, just so much emotion, and it's been overwhelming in a really good way, in a very, very good way. The response to it has been great. The support from Nigerians and just everyone across the world has been incredible. So honestly, I cannot be more grateful and more happy that I took the step in the first place.
Okay, so you said you prepared for this for 5 years.
Yeah.
How was it for you when you first thought about it? How overwhelming was it for you?
So honestly, when I first thought about it, it wasn't, because in truth, at that time, I hadn't fully grasped, what it was. So it was just a passing thought. I was like, oh yeah, like I said before, I was obsessed with Guinness World. So I just thought to my brother, at the time, I didn't even know there was a category for longest cooking marathon. So I just told my brother, imagine somebody cooks for a very long time and all that, and he makes Guinness World Record. So at the time I hadn't, so I now did some research, and that's when I found out that, there's actually a category, someone has just even, gotten this title and all that. So when I say I prepared for it for 5 years, a lot of people might assume that, okay, that's when the team came together. But 5 years ago, I was not the Hilda I am today. You understand? 5 years ago, I didn't have a brand, I didn't have a restaurant, I didn't have the financial capacity to fund something like this. So obviously, I feel like God just sort of knew that I was going to do this at some point. So he needed to prepare me. He needed to put me in the position to meet the right kinds of people that would be able to now come together to make this dream a reality. So I thought about it 5 years ago, but then it wasn't the right time. So I still had to go on the journey of self-discovery as well before I got to this point where I could now confidently say, I'm ready to do this. I can afford to pay for it, and I have the right team that would come together to make it happen.
So with all of this that happened, did you expect the level of support you got?
Oh, definitely not. Honestly, even when I thought that, this was going to be successful, I did not see it in this grand global scale. And if I say, I saw it this big, I would be honestly lying. You understand? I just knew that, okay, this is a good initiative. It's a really amazing experience I'm trying to create. And I think it's a very good thing to do. It's going to be good for my brand. It's going to be good for my legacy, and it's going to help propagate Nigerians in a good light and propagate Nigerian recipes. And I was just like, I'm just going to run with it. So even while doing this, I understood that there's a possibility that it might not take. So I might do all this and, people might not resonate with it the way I want them to or the way I expect them to. But honestly, when I thought about that, that was still okay. Like I was still willing and ready to make that sacrifice. And that's how I knew that, it's really the will of God for me to do this. So I'll just run with it.
But how did your childhood frame the person you are today?
So I had a very interesting childhood. My mother is very loving. And for the longest time while we were kids, she sort of shouldered the responsibility of us, somewhat single-handedly. But that's not my takeaway. It was more the fact that even when my mother didn't have the means, she always wanted the best. So she always wanted the best for her kids. She always wanted the best for her customers. I remember my mother tossing a whole pot of edikaikong soup that she made for sale at her shop because the staff had put in a little bit too much salt. And then another time it was that the vegetable wasn't cut the right way. So, and she was making a loss, but she was just always all about whatever the turnout is, like whatever is worth doing well. So sometimes it would bite her in the leg because she would put in for something where she sent us to really good and expensive schools. And sometimes the question is, you sell food under a canopy. Like, how are you paying for your children to go to these kinds of schools? But she just knew that she didn't want the life that she had for her children. She wanted to give us a better opportunity to at least make it, like a better fighting chance to make it. And I took away from that. So for every single time I tried to do something, I would always put in my all into it, because I would always look at my mommy's life and I'm like, if my life is anything like my mother, like there's always the saying that, oh, the next one is always better than the last one, right? So if I'm anything like my mother, I just need to put in more work and just apply more wisdom. And she has given me that platform because she has sent me to school, she has advised me, So if I do the right things and I make the right call, I can create a legacy that would help our family just elevate in terms of our financial status and even like generally. So just seeing her, watching her, and watching my elder brother really inspired the kind of person that I am today.
You seem to be a family-oriented person.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, from what you have from this interview. Let's talk about your mother.
Yeah.
How do you think she felt of you? Because I had an interview with her twice, and I've watched it over and over again, but from your own perspective, what do you think she felt of you?
I think my mom is very proud and very, my mommy is she's very guarding, and she has 7 children and a couple other adopted children. And I don't know how she's able to create a balance. My mother calls me at least 7 times a day. She's the first person to call me in the morning as early as 5, and most likely the last person I speak to before I sleep. And she has this same level of attention to all her children, she's very loving and very supportive. I don't know how to emphasize how supportive my mother is. My mother has supported us through the scariest dreams. I remember this time, when I was in school, they said I wanted to put in for like a pageant. It was Miss Oasis International College, my secondary school, one of the secondary schools I went to at the time. And I remember my mother shipping the traditional wear from Akwa Ibom, like for me to wear the exact traditional outfit. She sent a staff to bring shoes to school. Like, no parent was more extra than my mother for that. So she takes every single thing we do so personally. Like, she would shut down her business and come here just to show up for me. And this is even without the assurance that she may not even know what I'm doing. But it's just that I've told her, oh, I want to do this thing. Even if she struggles, she would just spend her nights praying that God will protect her child. And it's honestly is my next life. I still want her to be my mom, because I honestly feel like she's a gift to us, her children. she's so supportive. Like, she has been supportive of my brother even before he figured out what he wanted to do. Where other parents, are all about, my son, my first son, he has to be a doctor, he has to be this, he has to be that. But my brother went through a phase, and my brother is very set in his ways, so he's very intelligent and he's very focused. So he wants to do one thing at a time. At the time, it was music, and music is a very scary venture. But I remember my mommy buying tickets to a show that my brother wanted to, perform at, and buying him his first Yeezy boots, and trying to make sure he got the best outfits put together. When other parents would be crazy that, why are you not doing, like, you studied engineering, why are you not doing this? She would allow us in our elements to shine till we find our way. And then she would just take whatever concern she has to God and pray about it. And I think God, just knowing that her intentions are pure, just helps us to find our way through. She's amazing, honestly. She is.
But she was one person that stood and said, I know my daughter will achieve this. Because I had an interview with her the first day, and that's what she said. Even the last day, and she said, I know who I gave birth to. And she said, you're stubborn.
Yeah. Even when she struggled, because I remember the first day was really hard. Even when she struggled, it wasn't from me, I know she's going to make it. It was no longer from me, I know my daughter face. It was more from me, I've put this in the hand of God and he's not going to disappoint me. She was just speaking from a place of faith and just knowing that the God that has answered all the other prayers that she has prayed is going to answer this one.
But that women have the voice in this one.
So for me, it's not just about, creating a platform where women can come out and speak. I feel like this is more internal. I need for young women to see that there's more to them, than what the society than the stereotype that the society puts out there, right? Is that you can look at yourself. I always say to my students that the business you have can fund your lifestyle, because there's always that narrative that, you can't make it, like, you can't make it without doing certain things, or you always need this extra support to be able to do this. You need them to create a platform for you to, and I'm saying this from an informed place because I used to be like that. I used to think that was what it took. So I went through an entire journey, and the minute I started to realize that these are things that you're capable of doing yourself, God has put something in your hands, and you just need to focus on that thing that has been put in your hands. But it's hard to tell somebody that when you have, like, you can't give what you don't have, right? So for me I need to keep doing things with myself, to keep showing people that I am doing this, so you can do it as well. Like, you can win as well. Like with my business and my restaurant, is you can have a business, you can start cooking from home, and you can build that business properly to the point where you can open an outlet. And you can manage that outlet so well, and with the grace of God also, open a bigger outlet and branch out. You just need to do it properly. You cannot just sit down and wait. You need to do your due diligence. You need to read books. I feel like it's important that people understand that it takes a lot of work, but you have to be willing to do the work to make the difference. So if we have more young female examples, because I feel like when they look at much older, will I call it mentors or role models, it's like, but it was different in their time. In my time, there's social media, there are so many distractions. Okay, so maybe if you see someone as young as you doing the same thing, and they're showing you a template, it would sort of inform you to see that, to look inward, to understand that, there's more to me, and I just need to structure my life better to know that I can make it. Like, I can actually make it without whatever people think I need to do to make it. Like, I can create this platform for myself. I don't need to sit around and wait for somebody to hand it to me. And yeah, so I feel like that's one of the most important things for this fit, is that young people see that there is more to them. Like, you just need to, honestly, you just need to bet on yourself, and you need to put in the work, because it's work. It's not easy. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy. A lot of people see this buzz right now, and most of them think I dropped from the sky. They don't know that, it started like I was homeless at a point. Like, there's an entire phase and journey that got me here, and I'm not even done. This is still like part of the journey. I'm still on a path, and I'm still going. It's not always going to be rosy. It's not always going to be easy, but it's like we need more examples like this so people can see that, oh, Hilda did it, so I can do it as well.
Okay, so circle back now to when you were in the cubicle.
Yeah.
And you mentioned at the end that the first 6 hours you got tired. Give us a sense of what happened in that cubicle, the emotions, everything that happened to you in that cubicle.
So when I started at a disadvantage. And let me explain what I mean. Now, during the main event, I was up at 5, could barely sleep in the night because I was anxious. Now, I got to the venue at about 7:30, and everything wasn't ready and set. We had some issues with the CCTV footage that cameras we got. It wasn't picking up sound. Just trying to make sure that evidence was properly documented. At some point, the cubicle was shocking because there were a lot of wires, so they now had to rewire it to check where, the shock was coming from. So we had a lot of issues. So, and there was a lot of press. So I got in, I did my press interviews. I was upstairs, downstairs, checking to make sure everything was fine. And because I'm anxious, I just can't wait to start. So I had already been up for 12 hours, not resting, and then I started at 4. So I'm starting, but in truth, I have already exerted myself for 12 hours, and I hadn't rested. Ideally, what I should have done was rested for at least 6 hours and probably started like 8. But I didn't do that because I wanted to just get into it, because I'm like, people have been here, they have been waiting, I don't want to lose the crowd, let's just start. People need to eat. And when I started 6 hours in, my body had started to tell, because it's like, you need to shut down. And I feel like in that moment, I looked at the crowd, and it sort of dawned on me, what I was embarking on. And then the thought of failure dawned on me as well. What happens if you fail? But in a much grander sense. So I couldn't help but think about what would happen if I didn't make it to that 97 hours or 96 hours. And I just had the worst anxiety. It was horrible. I was in pain, my hands were shaking. It was really bad. It was so bad. And I had racked up 30 minutes, so I took 10 minutes from my 30 minutes to do a quick vital check. I came back, and I just knew that, that was the wrong call. I needed more time, I needed more breaks. So I got another 1 hour, so I got 25 minutes. In this period, my brother had come. He was trying to talk me through it. There's nothing my brother did not say. He got to in fact, you know what? Guinness doesn't matter. You can walk out of this place and we'll go home and we will never speak of this again. If you don't want to do this, it's fine. Let's forget about it. But you've not dropped dead yet. So I guess you can just keep going till you can't go anymore. And I just kept trying. And at this point, we had started praying. My mother had started praying. And I honestly was begging God for a miracle, because my body had failed me. And this was 6 hours in. And it was crazy to me because I had done 24 hours like it was nothing. So how am I this week at 6 hours? Or let me say, this is now, we're about 8 hours in. How am I this week at 8 hours? Honestly, I was saying that if we had a betting company on board at the time, they would have made so much money, because on that day, everybody that had seen me at that time would have gone straight to place their bets that I wasn't going to make it, because even I didn't think I was going to make it. So I honestly just I begged God for a miracle. And he honestly sent me a miracle. Because I had such a low, I was in tears. I don't know if we have a footage of it. I will ask the editors. But I was in tears. And I was just cooking while in tears and just trying to do as much as I could. And then I threw up and my eyes opened. And it was such a low that I now had such a high. Like all of a sudden, everybody was shocked because all of a sudden I became energetic. I was dancing, I was singing, I was cooking, and I was doing everything. And God sent someone to me. So my friends were there, and my friends had been there, and your friends love you. It's difficult for them to see you in that state. And, a friend of mine that I would say we weren't even close at this time, Sydney, he came. And he came at about 2 a.m. And he was in front of the box at the time, and he was dancing, and he would say to me, he'll be like, Hilda, look at me. And I'll look, but I kept telling myself, don't get used to this energy. He's not going to be here for that long, He's not going to be here for that long. Don't get used to this. Don't get used to this. So I wouldn't look at him. And some way, somehow, he found his way. He came into the box. And then, obviously, like, everybody's trying to hype you. Amma was there, was hyping me. My boyfriend was there. He was, he was just looking at me and just trying to give me all the energy. My brother was there. Dubaim was there. My mommy, like my dad, everybody, everybody was literally just there trying to be as supportive as they possibly could. And Sydney was just there dancing. He's like, Hilda, he now gave me his shoes, his Crocs. He's like, okay, let's get her ice. Put ice in the shoes and let her put her feet in the ice. I don't know where he got all those things from. And then this was, I think now we were at 12 hours or we're like maybe 10 hours in. And they were like, I think she needs time to sleep. And you get 5 minutes for every completed 1 hour. So that means if I'm able to stand for 12 hours, I would have earned 1 hour. So I'm like, 1 hour sleep would be very useful to me. So Sydney heard that, and he says to me, Hilda, okay, so this is 3 a.m. Sydney's like, you know that if we finish by 3 p.m., you will get that 1 hour to sleep. And I'm like, I'm thinking about it from where I'm coming from. Me that was just almost half dead, like 3 hours ago. What do you mean by I'll stand here till 3? And he's like, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here with you the whole time. I'm not going to sit, I'm not going to eat, I will just be here. And just hearing that, I think that just gave me like an energy boost. My brother is like, Hilda, I'm here with you, I'm not going anywhere. So Gilbert was there, and Gilbert was, so he was observing, taking notes, and just trying to notice when my body starts to fail. So he kicks into, Hilda, you just need to push through. Your body is just trying to shut down now, but if you push through for another 2 hours, it will wake back up. So just keep going. So he was being all medical, logical, ethical. Sydney was just there, we just need the vibes, and we just need to be praying to God. So the next thing he's telling me, okay, put your feet up. Now, because he's standing, so he can feel what I'm feeling. Like, he knows that her feet is starting to hurt right now. So get her ice, put ice in. And then there was my kitchen assistant, Sonny. And Sonny he just kept speaking words of encouragement to me. He's like, you know what? You didn't come here to fail. Remember when I asked you how I didn't know you liked this so much? You say, if I did not like it, I will not be here. It's because you are here that I am here. Please, ma, you cannot... It's such an incredible story, honestly. I could go on and on. I wouldn't want to bore you guys, but I honestly could go on and on because it took everybody and everything. At some point, I'm like, so what happened? I took a break and I came back, and Sonny was supposed to go on a break because we were supposed to change kitchen assistants at intervals, and they now brought the next kitchen assistant, and I lost it. Because I'm like, no, I don't think I can do this without him. I don't want anybody else. And we had 24 people on the team. Why do you want just one person? So they went back and they spoke to him, and he's like, yes, I don't want to go. I will be here with her. I'm not going anywhere. It was crazy. And I went back, and And it was just how willing everybody was. Everyone was so willing. It was like everybody was so willing. So at a point, I realized that I wasn't doing this for just myself. I never thought I was doing it for just myself, but at a point, it was not about me anymore. It was about every single person that was there. Because it was like, I looked at them and I'm like, these people see something in you that you like, for them to see this in you, there's something here. And the devil is trying to stop you from seeing what that thing is. You know, and at 2 days in, I realized that, yeah, the devil did actually want me to get to this point because he knew that this was going to happen. You know, because on the second day, I had a low as well. Same anxiety. It was horrible. And my supporters, my followers, my students, my friends, they were under the rain because it rained early in the morning. And we had an entire worship session. And they didn't even think about canopy. They were there under the rain. And we just kept praying. Because honestly, we didn't have anything else. There was nothing else we had. We only had God. Like, God was honestly the only person that would take us through this time. And I think he just knew that too many people have put their faith together to have this dream. There are too many testimonies that are going to be tied to this story. So it's important to me that I make the story. So it's almost like if God had said, this is what is going to happen this time, by the time everybody had keyed in, he's like, no, we have to make this bigger. More people need to be a part of this because this is going to tell a story. And I kept telling him, you know that I'm not going to give your glory to anybody else because you're the person that has gotten me to this point. Every single thing that has brought me here has been as a result of you. My entire life has been because of you. So at a point when it was, I think that was Saturday morning, I was making breakfast and it was hard again. And I just kept telling myself, you did not bring me here to fail. I am the light of the world. Like all the Bible verses that I have learned in this life, that was the time that it came to. So I just had to keep talking to myself. And my brother said, yeah, just keep saying that. Just keep saying, just keep talking, just keep praising, just keep praying. And at a point I realized that, you know what? You've been asking God, you've been asking and asking and asking. You've asked from day 1. God has gotten you to day 3. Are you selfish? Say thank you. Say thank you now. Don't you have sense? And I'm telling you, it was almost like I was having an entire conversation with the Holy Spirit while this whole thing was happening. So it's like, Hilda, so it's the way everybody is telling me, Hilda, stare. You need to keep staring. While I'm sleeping and working, they just keep ordering me, okay, now you're making coconut rice, so you need to stare so that they know that you're doing something. Now move to the next spot. Because I would have like 3 hours where I'm half asleep. So while I'm half asleep, I still need to keep working. So it's like my body is on autopilot. So it's like Sydney, Harmony, Gilbert, Dami, like everyone, everyone is now just going on and on. Like my Lola, Sonny is like, oh, Hilda, stay, so go to the next spot now. Oh man, no, that's Maggie. You just carried oil. You need to pick vegetable oil now. You just took water. Your hand is on the fire. Remove your hand from the fire. So while they're doing that, it's like the Holy Spirit is telling me, you're just asking God, tell him thank you, say thank you. So it's like I'm now praying, oh Father, thank you for where I am, thank you for getting us to this point. Father, whatever happens from here, I will still glorify your name. I will still and I'm just grateful. So from day 3, it was now more, we just need to keep giving thanks to God, because the God that has gotten you here is going to get you to the end. And
so what's next for that?
There's so much. There's too many things. I mean, away from all the buzz, I was setting plans in motion to open a bigger space for the restaurant, because honestly, we were kind of outgrowing this space, and we need a much bigger staff strength. So there is that. I have classes, and I need to do my next class because the intending students have been on me, I'm working on a cookware line. Yeah, so pots, basically just cookware, because there are things that I've looked out for. People used to always be very intrigued with my cookware, and there are things that I look out for that I don't see, or there are certain designs that maybe I haven't found them, but I've not been able to see them, and I feel like, oh, there are cookwares that work for both content creators and food vendors, and just for home use, that are durable. And so for me, it's like I need to put a collection like that together that is is affordable, but at the same time is not for everybody, but at the same time people can put money together to be able to afford it. There is that. I want to do classes across, I want to host master classes across the world, because again, I honestly feel like Nigerian food is so good. Like, it is so good. And it's hurtful when I teach, because when I teach my students, I have so many students from across the world, and when they try to recreate these recipes, it's so difficult because finding the ingredients is so hard. And I'm like, it's because a lot of people are not making these meals in these parts of the world that they don't feel the need to cultivate these ingredients. They are not planting it, they are not growing it, they are not shipping it, and everything is it's just here. It's like when you come to Nigeria, oh, you can make all these meals, but when you're in the UK or in the US or you're in Italy or you're in Dubai, it becomes a huge hassle to be able to make it. But that's not the goal. It's like if the demand for it increases, what happens is more people will think that, okay, there's a business here. So maybe if I'm able to grow water leaf, if I'm able to grow wild spinach, that's okazi, if I'm able to grow this, if we can ship some periwinkles, if we can have more snails, if we can have, egusi, and I want you to be able to walk into a Tesco, for instance, and you don't have to travel all the way to one African store to be able to find Nigerian ingredients, because it's only a select few of people. Just the way we would make Alfredo pasta at home, or go to restaurants and want to try Alfredo, I want to try this. It's like, that's what I want for Nigerian recipes, where people are going to fine dining and they are saying, oh, would like to try your seafood okra and your poundo. We want your bean cake, and there's we want your agoyin beans. That is it, because it is such good food. It's not a meal that you need to go to your house and remove your shirts and eat. That's it. That's what we've pushed it out as, but it goes beyond that. More people need to try, because it's such comfort food, and I need it to be integrated into every home across the world. So whatever it takes for me to achieve that is definitely what I'm doing. Obviously, I want to work with brands, because in truth, there are quite a number of brands that I've looked forward to working with, not just because I want the name, or I'm working with this brand, or I'm signed to this brand. It's because I have so much value to add to the brand. There are so many things where I feel like, oh, there are products and then there are solutions that we can come together to create, to build an ease of service and ease of use. Because again, I'm a consumer, I'm a very heavy consumer. So I know that, my insight is going to be very useful. And I'm very big on integrity, so I'm not going to take on a brand just because of money. It's more, I know that there's value that I can bring to this brand, and there's a value that this brand can also bring to the people that I need to share them with. So there's that as well. Obviously, there's a lot. There's actually so much.
Thank you very much, Hilda Baci.
Thank
Your
you.
testimony is just inspiring.
Thank
you
you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You were good.
Fantastic.